today we are going to do a pumpkin wreath, and we're going to use one of the Dollar Tree forms. And I thought it would be fun to do something in the cream. So this is cream that has a little gold running through it. We're going to make a bow for the top, and we're going to use some cute little picks I have. So I made one of these last year, and it was before I had my new camera, and so the angles weren't that great, and I thought it would be a really good idea just to redo it, because I want to make sure that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so we're going to take this. It's just 10-inch mesh. Now you could also do this with a 21-inch. I'm going to start it off with a zip tie. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my zip tie, and I'm going to go ahead and load it on here. And I want it to be pretty close to this edge over here. And then I'm going to do just like I would when I make a poof. So just kind of gather it together. And on the other side of the frame, I'm just going to tie it on. Just like that. Okay. Alright, so what you're doing is you're tying it on the back side, okay, so that it hides the mechanics. Then you can take this and you want to kind of make like a little, like this. You see how it's just kind of all gathered together? So that's what you're going to do, okay? You're going to gather it together, tuck the ends under, so make sure your ends are tucked under, and then pull it across like this, okay? If you see any pieces that are sneaking out, just kind of tuck them back in. Okay. I like to use the zip ties to do this. I just find it a little bit easier. So you want to pull it across. Make sure it's nice and taut as you can get it. Okay. And I want these little folds. So the first one is the most difficult, so I would just suggest you kind of mess with it for a few minutes. I'm going to pull it around to this second layer here. There we go. And before it is completely tied down, I want to make sure that I have it taut. I want a little bit of it to kind of go around the side like this. Okay. It's okay if you can see through the frame, because you're going to be going back across it and covering that up. Okay? So we do this again. So you want those ends tucked in. You want that nice little pleat in the middle. Whoops. Okay, like that. Just like that. Okay. Alright. And we just take another zip tie. I like to do it on this second level right here, just because it secures it a little bit better and it keeps it from being seen from the front. Okay. you want to pull it fairly taut. There we go. Okay, so we have our first good little row. This first one right here, I don't want you to worry about it because we're going to deal with that towards the end. Okay, so again, make sure those ends are tucked under. It's almost like you have a little circle, and you want to overlap the last row. Take another zip tie, stick it in this second level, just like that. There we go. Pull it tight. There we go. Alright, so now you're seeing what we're doing, okay? So again, you're going over the top. Make sure those ends are tucked under. See, I don't want that to show. So you can kind of put them together underneath and pull it across, overlapping that last one. Okay. Another zip tie on the second level. Just loop it around and tie it off. Okay. There we go. So again, make sure they're in the center. Pull it across, overlapping a little bit. And once you start doing this, once you get the hang of it, it will go a lot faster. So after you get the first couple done, it goes a lot faster. Okay? Alright, same thing. Tuck those little ends in together and pull it around, just like that. Overlap it slightly. There we go. Sometimes it can get caught on itself, but don't worry. Just pull it, it'll come loose. Okay. So as you can see, I'm just putting the zip tie around it, making sure it's nice and taut, and then pulling it tight. Now when I make these, I always cover the back, okay, so that you can't see all of that mess. Okay. So make sure those are together. Okay. Flip it around. Without getting my shirt. That can be a challenge too. Okay. There we go. See, we're overlapping just a little bit each time. And if you have any that don't look great, you can just kind of go back and readjust it. Okay. So I just stick the zip tie right under there. And then tie it off. Okay. See, we're already halfway done. You see? So take those ends, put them together, Now you might have to twist it a little bit to get it to come back across the top the way you want it to. Okay? I just kind of hold it down while I get my tie started, and then I make sure everything's in good place. Yep. And then pull it taut. Whoops, I sort of cut the tie off. Well, don't do that. Okay. All right. Make sure you're overlapping it before you tie it down, because if you don't, it will separate. Okay. And if it does happen to separate, what you can do is you can tie them together on this other side where you're not going to see it. Okay? So remember, put those ends together. Twist it around, overlapping a little. Alright. I generally like to have this on the floor, but since it keeps pulling my shirt, I'm going to put it on the table. Alright. Now you could also use pipe cleaners for this. I just find that the zip ties hold a little better when you're doing something like this where it has to be taut. So looking good. Oh, see, there's where it's separated a little bit. So you just push it over, okay, like that. Sometimes when you're pulling on it, it will re-separate. And if it does that, just push it back over. And if it doesn't want to stay there, you can zip tie it on the other side, okay? So, okay. See how it wants to separate like that? So we'll push it over. I'll show you how to fix that, because it does happen sometimes. Alright, so if you have a problem where they want to separate and they don't want to go back together correctly, you can take another zip tie and just run it through the mesh on the one before it and the one you're having trouble with. And just tie them together like that. And that'll keep it from separating again. Okay, so put our ends together, and I twist it a little bit, get it back over. All right, So you're just doing the same thing over and over. So don't worry if it's coming a little loose while you're getting your tie on, because you can come back and adjust it. Okay. Remember to overlap. Pull it taut. Whoop. Kind of fell off a little bit there. There we go. There we go. Awesome. Okay. So this one wants to separate a little bit. So we can put a little helper in there. There we go. Okay. I'm not worried about this end over here because we're going to come back and we're going to fix this. The first level, the first layer is always a little bit strange on the first timing. There we go. Okay. Alright, so the last one you're just going to have to kind of maneuver a little bit. Okay, there we go. Alright. Now on this last one, what I generally like to do is take a smaller zip tie kind of pull a little bit of the inside around the side. So you want to make sure you're not picking up any that's going to show in the front. It just helps keep everything in place. Okay. So there we go. So there's so many things you can do with this. So you can do this and do white, and you can put some little eyes on it and make a little ghost. That's really cute. I love to do that. Okay. You can also make it as a pumpkin. So on this first one, I just go back and tighten it. Just kind of tighten down a little bit. Okay. And I really like to have some, just like with the other side, I like to have a little bit come around the end. Okay. There we go. Hi. I'm not live. I was recording. Okay. Cool.
Poor baby.
Okay, another thing to do that's really nice is to take it and just kind of put some in the back. Okay. Now this is optional, you don't have to do this, but I find that if you run some across the back, it makes it so that you can't really see from the front so much. Okay. Now I'm just doing this to kind of fill it in so that it's not so see-through. So I don't really care what it looks like in the back because I'm going to cover it, but I just think it makes it look a little bit more solid if you do this. And I'd rather just use up my excess. Okay. Alright. You could also go back across the front if you would like. Whoop. Let's see if we can fix that. Here we go. Okay. So you see how it makes it so that you can't really see so much. And it kind of uses up some of the excess. Okay. There. Okay, so now it's not really very see-through in the back. Okay. It's pretty good. So I just kind of go through and see if I need to adjust anything. Looks like I need to put it down there. Okay. Okay, then that's good. Okay, so I can just trim this off. Okay. Okay, now go in here and we can make a bow. So let's move this out of the way. Alright, okay, so I have a truck pumpkin and then just a fall color and a stripe. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a double bow first. So I just take them, put them together. Okay, I'm going to overlap a little bit. Let's start out with about 3 inches. So, yep, that matches. Okay. So it's just like doing with one. It's just that you hold them together. Okay. just kind of a little bit of a cheat to kind of get a couple at the same time. Of course, you have to twist them to get them back to the right side up. Okay, we're going to do 3 on each side. Okay, this is our third one. Okay, so I'm going to trim it off a little bit past there because you always want to have a little excess there. Okay, I'm just going to use one of these long pieces of wire that I have. Okay. Alright. So I've got that part made. Now we're just going to do just slightly larger, maybe 4 inches. Okay. So I always pull them up to make sure that they match. Okay. Just kind of pull them up against each other. Okay. Alright, there we go. So I've got 3. So I'll just cut it off a little bit longer. There we go. Alright, now you can use your bow dabber, just hold it in your hand. Okay, I just open it back up. Put it down right on top of my larger, and then just tie it back off. Alright, then I'm just going to tie it very tight, as tight as I can possibly make it. There we go. Okay. Alright, now just going to pull out my fluff box. There's a little hook here. I just run it under the hook and then tie it off here. Okay? Now, I want to start on the bottom and just pull these on 3 sides like that. Okay, same thing with this side. And then I just stick my hands in and kind of fluff it up a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to pull these two, like that. And I pull them kind of in the center. There we go. Then those two. Now I'm pulling them at opposite sides. Okay, and these two. Okay. So I'm going to alternate. Oh, let's do it this way. There we go. Like that. Okay. Then you just stick your hand in. Oh, let's alternate those. And fluff it up. Okay. This. Okay, we're going to alternate those two. Okay, there we go. So So I'm just making sure I don't have a bunch sitting next to each other. There'll be a little bit, that's okay. There. Okay, so then you just fluff them up like this. Alright. Then I'll just take it back off. Okay, see? Alright, now I just figure out which side I want to use. I don't think it really matters. And we're going to cut some tails here. We're going to do 20 inches. Alright. I'll put the larger in the back. Alright. I'm going to find the center. I'll pinch it in the center. And I'm going to tie it right underneath my bow. Okay. I'm just going to twist this on. There we go. Now, I'm actually going to take these two wires and I'm going to stick them right through the mesh at the top. Make sure I've got it pretty even. Yes. And then I will actually kind of thread the wire right back through, because I want it to be right up at the top. There we go. And what you can do, so I've used pretty thick wire, so I'm going to take it and I'm going to make a little hook with it. So I'm just going to kind of wrap it on itself like this. You want to make sure that you don't have any ends that could poke someone, so if there's anything, just make sure you take care of it. Alright, now make sure you haven't messed up your bow. Okay. Okay. Now you can do this a couple ways. You can cut it at an angle, like that. Opposite angles on opposite sides. You can you can take these ends, you can do the same thing, or you can curl them. So you could even take your scissors and just curl it up. Kind of you can either leave it curled or kind of pull it out a little. Okay. Like that. See there? Okay. There we go. Okay. Alright, there we go. So we've got our bow on there. Now what I like to do is just take some little picks of some kind, and you could take the whole thing and put it in here, or you can take it apart. I often like to take it apart, so because you just get more use out of it if you kind of take it apart. So I like these two pieces together, so I'll keep them together. Okay. So all these are wired, and what you can do is you can actually put a little glue in it, and you can glue it right under your bow. So we'll just take a little glue, put a little glue on there. Okay. And then you can just insert it right under your bow and just kind of work it in there. You want to make sure that it's gluing down to something. Okay, like that. I have cute little things like this. Alright, so the same thing. You just want to put some glue on it. Now, if you have a glue pot or a other way that you have glue, you can use that as well. You don't want to have to use your glue gun because it can take a little bit longer. Okay, so you can also glue into the actual, whoops, that wasn't on there very well. Okay, you can actually glue into the mesh as well. Okay, so a little bit more glue in here. So if you wanted to, you could kind of just stick it down in the mesh and glue it there, like that. That's another great way to glue it. So remember, you can get picks like this and you can take them apart or keep them together. So I want to put something down in the front. So I like to just make sure I don't have, that I have enough of the stem left, but I don't want to have too much. So sometimes I will dry fit it just to see before I put my glue on. Because once you get your glue on and get it in there, it's a lot harder to move it. There we go. So you see how just adding a little bit really kind of just makes it pop even better. Just love that. Let's move that so you can see it. You can get colored leaves to put in there. Of course, you can get the picks like I did and take them apart. You can find things like this at Hobby Lobby, Carolina Pottery, Michael's, any place, any kind of craft place should have things like this. This is super cute. You can put things in between the bow, which looks adorable. Okay. So on this one, I'm going to drop a little bit of glue underneath it as well, just to make sure it stays in place. So this one has some really cute little things on it. And you know what, this part, it's really up to you. You can add as much or as little as you want to. It really is all on. how much you want. Okay? But it's fun to just kind of put it in and around your bow to kind of blend it in and make it work with your bow. Okay, I love to put leaves in just because it really does add a little bit more to it. It's a great thing to do. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to kind of move the things around and I'm going to stick it in the mesh. Because what I don't want is to prevent the ribbons from being able to flow. Okay, like this. Okay. Let's bring this up a little bit. Okay. Like this. Alright, so let's put a little flower right here. Then I think we'll be good to go. This is such a fun, simple, easy project. Now, if you struggle with the getting it on around your frame, just remember, just pull out extra zip ties and just use that, because that works just fine. Okay. Sticks a little bit more glue there. Okay. There we go. Perfect. Alright, and you just want to make sure your bow is still fluffed up. Alright. And we did it. Alright, so from the back it's not really as beautiful, right? However, you can get these little placemats. Alright, I have a yellow one because it will kind of work with the color I have on here. Alright, and you would just want to, if it is a little bit large like this one is, the great thing about these is that you can easily trim them down. Okay, so I will trim this down and then I will just take some zip ties and I will just tie it around in about 5 places. And what it does is it covers up all of this in the back and it makes it just look nice and finished and clean. It also makes sure that these zip ties will not accidentally scratch a door, and it gives it a finished look, and it will make it so that your pumpkin looks perfect because you won't be able to see through it at all. Alright, so I hope this was helpful and that you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed making it, and I will be back with more projects soon. Have a wonderful and blessed day. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.